Welcome, disc golf guys and gals. You're listening to the Putt and Approach radio podcast, and I'm your host, Connor Kissling. I'm coming to you straight from the heart of the 515, the epicenter of disc golf in Iowa, and arguably the home to some of the best courses in the Midwest. Here at the P&A studio, I'll be exploring disc golf in my own world. I'll be doing some reviews, some interviews, and a bunch of other stuff related to the disc golf sport we all love. You're listening to episode 1, and I'm recording this on Tuesday, December 27th, 2016. With 2016 quickly coming to an end and 2017 right on the horizon, we'll be traveling back to the early days of my disc golf career, where I was exploring the dynamics of the game and the different molds and plastic I was throwing. I'm going to dive into what I think some of you, fresh to the game peeps, should be throwing and focusing on. Join me as I explore my own disc golf past, future, and present, guided by the disc golf gods themselves. Disc golf has been a passion of mine for the last 3 or 4 years. Starting back in 2012 is when I picked up my first disc and hit it out to the course with a couple of buddies and threw for the first time. Terribly, I assume. Looking back now, it's been a long time. I've always told people that it's been a couple of years since I started playing. But in reality, it's been, 4 years? It's 2016 now. And for some reason, I've been telling everybody lately, and anybody that asks me how long I've been playing disc golf for, and I tell them, 2 years. And obviously, that's not true. So, for real, I've been playing for, 3 or 4 years. Currently sitting at 880 rated PDGA member. Actually haven't renewed my membership for 2017 yet, but it's coming soon. 2016 was a good year. First year playing tournaments. Played my first tournament, the Pickard Spectacular, and it was horrible. My buddy Clue, or Justin McLuhan, one of the local professionals, was kind of my first contact as far as playing a tournament goes. He was a TD. I kind of reached out to him before him and his shop moved to town, and I was excited for a new disc golf store to come to the Des Moines area. We don't really have a brick and mortar store until about 2016. So 2016 was a great year for disc golf in Des Moines. Like I said, Clue and his shop, the Iron Lion Disc Golf Shop, opened up down by the Grand View Disc Golf Course. It's a cool little place. It's got tons of Innova, which I don't throw, but he's got a few dynamic and trilogy plastics in there that appease to me. He's also a great guy. He's always willing to just talk disc golf. Chat, give you pointers. So shout out to you, Clue. 2016 also brought in brand new course to the Des Moines area. One that I'm extremely proud of because I put some man hours into that whole course myself. The Becky Zellick disc golf course at Prospect Park. Probably my favorite course right now. It's still very early in its stages. We finished at the end of November, I think. So it's only been playable for about a month. Been working on it for, I think they said they've been trying to get the course in the ground for 12 years now. I don't know a whole lot about Becky Zellick, but I do know one of her sister. I met her sister the other day, one of my first rounds actually. She is married to the brother of my best friend's girlfriend's dad. So, kind of know her. So that's cool. If you're out in the Des Moines area, check it out because it is awesome. And it's becoming one of my favorite courses, if not already top of the charts. Favorite course to play. It's in the woods for the most part. It's got some tight technical shots. You really got to hit your lines because you never know what brick's going to pop out and jab you right in the gut. You really don't know. I just lost a fluid escape out there on hole 1 like an idiot. Threw it straight into the ground, popped it out into the water, which was mostly frozen except for one spot in the ice where it was flowing water. And of course, my disc pops in there, but my buddy, I don't know him, but he's my buddy now because he found I found my fluid escape, which is my baby. Picked it off the DDRV, which came to town late August, I think. It was getting chilly, not yet cold, but I remember that day being super beautiful. Picked up a fluid escape with a sweet oil stamp on it, oil slick stamp, and a rainbow stamp Judge in lucid plastic, and played around with those 2 discs. My buddy grabbed an escape off my recommendation, and I think he also grabbed a Judge, but we walk up the first hole, and he forehands it right off the short pad, nails the chains for the ace, but it skipped out. Man, it was exciting. He's never hit an ace, and I was hoping that was his first ace. First throw of the day, just bangs one, but it popped out. I don't get those. I've aced once, and I've never hit a basket or chains other than that. But maybe 2017 will have a little bit more of those ace runs and some tickling of the change from the pad. We'll see. All right, we're going to hop into my beginnings. I'm going to flash back to 2012. Me and my buddy Jacob, who I played the DD round with, he handed me a Pro Destroyer that was pretty beat up. We went out to our local course, Heritage, here in Ankeny, Iowa. My home course, and where I spend a lot of my time because it's like 4 blocks away from my house. So first round, I'm throwing forehands. He throws forehands mostly right now, and that's kind of what I picked up for the first year or two. That's all I threw was forehand drives, and I could flick them pretty good, get them out there pretty far, but I was horrible. I couldn't keep the disc in the right line. I couldn't I couldn't hit the line I wanted to. I wasn't consistent whatsoever. Be drives where I'm throwing 200 feet to the right of the basket in the complete wrong direction. Not ideal. Kind of busting my balls on that one. But we had a good time. First few years we started, we played once or twice a week. Slowly got better. Didn't really practice, we were just having a good time. Throwing back a few brews. Yeah, just enjoying the weather out there. Finished college in 2012. So right after finished college, I started playing disc golf in the spring. So I had been playing for a few months, and then when college ended, I really got into it and almost went out every day with the same group of guys. My buddy Alex, who's now out in California, hopefully enjoying some of the sweet courses that I wish I could play out there. Maybe one day I'll have to stop out and see him out there and throw La Mirada and all those Cali courses. My buddy Jacob, like I mentioned, that was the main group. We also had some other buddies, Zach, and anybody that would play with us losers out there on the course screwing around. That brings me to 2013. My son was born in April, and pretty much didn't slow my momentum in playing disc golf too much. I threw him in his stroller, hit the course almost every day, and at this time I was really passionate about it. I really liked throwing the disc, watching it fly through the air, and banging some chains every now and again. I wasn't great, but I think 2013 was the year that I really started playing disc golf and really got into it. I think that was also the same year that I started playing a couple league nights. My buddy Cody Leggett, shout out to him for getting me out there and showing how bad I really am against all one of the best disc golfers in the Des Moines area. They really kind of pushed me to be better, so I didn't look like an idiot around them. 2014 continued to play disc golf, and between 2014 and 2016, I never really stopped. Early 2016 this year, February, I think it was the end of February, I played my first tournament at the Pickard Spectacular, and if you've ever played Pickard, it is a long, grueling course. And on top of that, the wind was like gusts of 50. I swear to God. It was cold, it was wet, and it was windy. I thought I was getting better, but that first round at the Pickard Spectacular really put me in my place. Showed me how unprepared I was to face the wind on a long course where you're throwing 500-foot drives. Well, not me, but ideally you would be throwing 500-foot drives to get to the basket. If the hole 18 is 1,000+ feet from the long pad, which was what we played the first round, and I cranked into I think it was a Latitude 64 Scythe as hard as I can. I think it flipped over even, and I was gone. That first round I shot a 91. Tried to regroup during lunch. I knew going back I was going to be playing from shorter pins, but they weren't necessarily easier pins. There was lots of trees, lots of really long shots still, some pretty technical shots on a course that I've only played 2 times prior, I think, to playing the tournament. It's a great course. I love playing it, but it's going to challenge you no matter who you are. Second round, I was just doing all right. I felt pretty good about my game. I don't think the wind died down much in the afternoon, but I came out, I think, beating about half the field in the intermediate with a 65, which I was pretty happy with my first tournament, except for that first round, I think brought me down to lower than rec. But hey, life experiences, right? So after that tournament, I went out and I got some more stable plastics and really put in some work on my drives and consistency. And throughout this season, I played, I think 3 more tournaments, some really fun tournaments too. The Graceland course, which I kind of went out on a whim, rode with Jake Lauber, one of the DD sponsors here in Iowa. Jake went to high school with me. We never really talked in high school, but he works for my dad at a grocery store in Ames, where I grew up. And so, I don't know, I feel pretty close to Jake. I know his parents, they're over at Bike World in Ames, and they have a great disc golf selection. And Leanne and Jake's dad, Steve. Leanne and Steve are 2 of the best people in disc golf, I think, especially in the Des Moines area. Super nice, always willing to help you out. I don't know how many times I've gone into Bike World just to talk, just to see how they're doing, and I walk out with 3 or 4 discs in my hand just from Steve talking me into it. It really usually doesn't take much for me to be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll grab that disc and I'll throw that, give it a whirl. He actually turned me on to Verdicts, one of my favorite mid-ranges as of late. I think I only bagged 2 different mid-ranges molds, the Verdict and the Compass, but those Verdicts, I don't think they're going anywhere for a while. Might have to find a little bit more stable ones, because the ones I've got now are starting to get flippy, but they are money. Alright, so a few tournaments. Let's see, I got an 880 rating on my first year being PDGA, and I'm pretty proud of that. That's not too shabby. Between playing my 4 tournaments and playing a handful of league nights, I wish I could have made it out to more of those 5-on-5 leagues sponsored or run by my buddy Matt Nemmers. Man, he really turned around the disc golf scene, I think, in the Des Moines area and brought in a lot of younger guys like myself into the disc golf group that we have here. So shout out to you, Nemmers. You're the man, dude. I hope someday I will be as cool as you. So 2016 is coming to an end here. I'm recording on the 28th of December, and 2017 is coming way too fast. But I'm excited. 2016 also brought me, before I forget, my awesome sponsor, InfiniteDiscs.com. They've got everything you need, and I was lucky enough to be chosen to be part of Team Infinite. Shout out to all those Team Infinite players that are out there. Maybe they're listening to this, maybe you're not. Regardless, let's kick it up in 2017. It's the first year of Team Infinite that I know of and that I'm a part of. So I'm hoping to do some cool things. I'm going to help volunteer at a couple of tournaments. We've got here it is. We got the 2017 Tim Selinsky U.S. Masters Champions held right here in Des Moines. I'm hoping to help out there. I'm also going to be helping my boy Jay Greenwood at the Des Moines Challenge. One of the events I wanted to play last year, but it wasn't going to fit into my schedule. Not going to play 2017. Told Jay I'll be back in 2018 to take it down. But for 2017, I'm going to help him out. Make it a huge event. I think it's an A tier this year, so that'll be cool. Hopefully get some big names in there. Let's see Macbeth out there. I know Jordan Castro is going to be there. He was at the Des Moines he was at the Des Moines Open. So that was cool. 2016 was a good year. Really excited for 2017. Really gonna try some new things like this podcast. Gonna do some helping out. Hopefully meeting some new pros. Really just diving deep into not only playing the sport, but helping out in every way possible that I can. Like I said, we just put in a new course, the Becky Zellick disc golf course at Prospect Park, which I had a hand in. I will also be helping run a league out there. I've made scorecards. I've set up the Facebook page. Unfortunately, I work Sundays, the day that we hold the event. So I haven't been able to make it out yet, but it's been kind of cold. So that's probably not the worst thing ever. See if I can squeeze in some Sundays off here in the next year and get out there and kind of run the event along with my good friend Mike Beeman, the B-Man. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good year. I've got, I think, 6 or 7 other tournaments I'd like to hit. Hopefully I can get more than that, depending on expenses, because I'm not disc golf rich. I'm very disc golf poor, especially with a wife and a soon-to-be 4-year-old. They might want to spend some time with me, and they might want some nice things like food. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of tournaments I can get out to. If you got a tournament in the area that you want me to throw at, let me know. Currently, I don't have a Facebook page. I don't have really anything. Hopefully in the future I'll have some stuff out. Hopefully before this podcast gets put out, I'm gonna have a few more podcasts to throw down in the queue. Just get things rolling. That kind of sums up my beginnings, and all the way to my future and what 2017 has to hold. I can't wait till 2018. I have no idea what is even gonna happen that year. It's so far off. It seems like there's so much to do in 2017. I'm busy every day. I'm in the studio doing something with the podcast, or I'm out practicing disc golf. I just got a basket for Christmas from my parents. That's awesome. My wife loves that I've duct taped off every 5 feet down the hallway, so I can practice putting in the apartment we live in. I'm sure my neighbors love that too. But it's going to be an exciting future. A lot to hold. I hope my son can grasp onto the sport and do a little bit more throwing than he does now, where he just kind of throws the discs and then makes me pick them all up. But he doesn't hate it, so we're doing all right. Like I said in the intro, we're gonna dive into a little bit of the beginner segment here. Kind of what you should throw, what I think you should throw at least. Maybe some other things to focus on as a beginner player. Something that I find helpful is YouTube videos. I would say for the first 2, if not 3 years, all I did was watch YouTube videos and pretend like I'm throwing in the living room, like looking like an idiot. But I think it helped to an extent. Obviously, throwing nothing in the living room, watching a YouTube video, you're not going to become the best disc golf player on the planet. But it's a good starting point. What you really need to do is find some discs that are right for you. Something that feels great in the hand. Something that fits your style, whether it be your forehand game, your backhand game. Maybe you're a standstill driver, which I recommend for beginners. Just to get the arm motion and the body motion without complicating it a little bit more with the X step run up. Some discs I would suggest for beginners, pretty much any style. Maybe not so much a forehand, but definitely if you're looking at throwing backhand drives off the tee pad, standing still, or a small run up, I would say grab either a West Side Hatchet or a West Side Discs Underworld. I've thrown the Underworld and the Hatchet both. The Underworld is a little bit more unstable than the Hatchet. I think it's a little bit more forgiving when you're a beginner. It can go far, trust me. I threw it up until I lost it in a ditch. I would like that back sometime, maybe. But I can throw it on maybe 50% power and get it to just float straight. Straight as an arrow. It's probably one of the straightest discs I can throw. It's really hard to get that control of the power to get it to go right where I want it to. But for a beginner player, it's not going to be super overstable like the Pro Destroyer I was throwing when I first started. It's going to make you feel good and get a little bit more distance than probably most other discs on the market. I'm sure there's some great discs by Innova. I'm sure 1,000 other people can tell you what you should throw as a beginner throwing Innova plastic. But pretty much for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been throwing almost exclusively Trilogy brands. Dynamic Disc, West Side Discs, Latitude 64. The first disc I think I picked up as that was a Trilogy disc was a West Side King. I found it after the first thaw of the year, and it was sitting right in the middle of the fairway. It was practically brand new. I didn't have a name or phone number on it, So I picked it up and I started throwing it, and I felt like I could bomb the thing. I'm sure looking, like, if I were to see myself throw now, I'd be like, ooh, wow, you've got some work to do, buddy. Well, I put the work in, and now I'm flipping over kings, even though they're still a great disc. I just don't find room for them in my bag. So maybe when you're looking for a disc, find something that's comfortable in the hand. I prefer a smaller rim disc. Like, most of my discs are fairway drivers. An Escape is a great disc for a new player, especially if you can get down the flat release, because it's going to go straight with a little bit of fade if you don't have a lot of power. Just going to be a great disc for a pretty neutral flight, and kind of work out those kinks in your form to get the disc to fly where you want it to. Another disc I would put in just about any new player, maybe any player anywhere in the game, would be a Dynamic Disc Judge. I think it's the 2015 disc of the year, and I know exactly why. Because it does exactly what you want it to. I have 2 blend judges, which is a medium plastic, in my bag now, just exclusively for putting. And then I also bagged the Dynamic Disc Lucid plastic judge that I got from the DDRV as my off the tee driving putter. And they're all great. I love them. I think they're probably one of the most underrated discs in my bag. I often reach for something a higher speed when I should just probably throw a judge to get the distance and a nice reliable line. Some people think you should exclusively start out with a putter and really put the time and effort into learning that disc and how to throw a putter, because if you can throw a putter far and straight, and you can learn to throw it on a hyzer, throw it on an anhyzer, and it's going to do all those things for you. You can translate that into faster speed discs, mid ranges, fairways, drivers, and really help your game out that later down the road. But I know myself, and probably many of you other beginning players, like, the reason you're playing disc golf is to see that disc go far. Maybe not so much your score to begin with, but just to watch the disc fly through the air, go far, look cool. That's why you're playing the game to begin with. And I think that's where the either the hatchet or the underworld come in to get you that distance, make you feel a bit better about your game, and hopefully get you hooked into trying some other discs. But I don't disagree with those people that out there preaching that you should only throw a putter for maybe your first whole year, just to really dial in your drives and your stance and all that form stuff that is a little bit more technical. But I think you're going to want to enjoy it a little bit more than throwing a putter maybe 100 feet for a while. But that's just me. I mean, I play disc golf because I love watching the disc fly through the air and work in different ways and see how different discs are affected in different winds, different throws, and all that good stuff. That's what keeps me coming back. That's why I'm doing this podcast, because I love disc golf. I love the community that we have. It's really a big family. I haven't met a group of people that is more willing to help you out and really connect with. I think that about wraps up the first show here. Huge shout out to my boy Jacob Stevens out in Colorado. He is he's the one responsible for the cool tunes you hear. You can find him on SoundCloud. I'm sure in the show notes I'll have his URLs. You can just hit that and kick you over his page. He's producing some cool stuff over there. And if you want to borrow some of his tunes, if you want to use them for your own podcast, just hit him up. He's a real chill dude, and he'll get you hooked up right. But he's doing all the music for my podcast now. He's also doing music for my other podcast, which we just started, called What the Podcast, with my buddy Jacob, who was the guy that got me into disc golf. So shout out to Jacob, man. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here now recording this and sounding like an idiot. So thanks, dude. Thank you to all you that are listening, and hopefully you'll stick around for later episodes. I'm hoping to get some interviews in. Maybe next week I'll have an interview with Jacob. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about our beginnings. I know he played a bit longer than I did, and he really influenced my first year, and I love playing with him. He just got a new bag, and it's sick. So I'm looking forward to playing around with him, and then maybe we'll get an interview in. We'll see. But thanks for sticking around and listening to me ramble on. And don't forget to get out there and throw some plastic. Thanks, guys.